So what are some of the best ways then to learn a new language?
I think self-study can really help at the beginning. Like, for example, the award-winning app Rosetta Stone, you can use that to focus on your speaking, to get very confident speaking. So when you go out and you speak with the natives, you've already got a very strong level of the language. And that can really help starting from a base where you really feel confident, like the app also offers native certified coaches. So you can already have practice and not just be thrown into the middle of the country, not really having the confidence. Already having done that self-study will really boost you. So you feel good when you go out there and you know that what you're saying, you're being understood because you've practiced a lot.
And how long do you reckon it typically takes to be able to fluently speak a different language then? I suppose it depends on the person really, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. You're completely right. I think 1 to 2 years if you're living out in the country. When I lived in Spain for 8 years, and it was amazing being surrounded by all the natives. I had the language flowing over me all the time. And I was always listening to the radio in Spanish and watching television in Spanish and just constantly being absolutely immersed in the language and the culture. All of my best friends at university were native Spanish speakers. So all day long we were conversing in Spanish. And I think really the best thing is to be out there in the country, but a couple of years will do it if you're out there.
Okay, what about some stories there, that things that you've come across when communication has been vital for you? Can you share some stories with us?
Yes, well, I do have a funny anecdote, which was when I was out in Spain at the beginning, I had a massive cockroach in my room and I rang my Spanish friend and I was screaming down the phone like, there's this massive cockroach in my room. It's ginormous. It's a massive cockroach. And he just said to me, Nadia, are you drunk? And I was getting really frustrated. He wasn't taking me seriously. We don't have these animals in my country. And I was distressed and I just couldn't understand why he wasn't helping and why he was just thinking I was being funny. And later I realized that I'd actually confused the word cockroach with spoon in Spanish. So what he'd been hearing in his language was me screaming down the phone, there's a massive spoon in my room. Yeah. So it's very vital that you learn your vocabulary correctly. Yes.
Well, tell us about your role then. How did you become a UN interpreter?
I completed a master's degree in conference interpreting at the University of Granada in Spain, and then I was invited to interpret at the United Nations in Geneva at a conference on the rights of indigenous peoples of South America.
Wow, okay. So it must be great traveling the world. If people want to get some more information and maybe they're thinking about learning a new language, where's the best place to start then?
Well, I recently started using the app Rosetta Stone just to have some fun learning some more words in Russian. So I think that's a great place to start. You can download the app on an Apple iPhone. And I think, yes, you can look at Rosetta Stone's website, and that would be a great place to do some self-study where there's lots of speaking practice. And I think that's a great start.
How did you go about becoming great at languages and actually appreciating the fact that language is such a vital part of being human?
I think really immersing myself in the culture. I moved out to Spain and I lived there for 8 years, and it was being surrounded by natives, just having the language flow over me all day long. I used to leave the radio on while I was doing the house chores, while I was getting ready to go out. And I think just constantly having the language flow over me, I began to pick up idioms and expressions. So I think listening is really vital, but also being able to practice speaking, being with natives all day long. Like at university, all of my friends were Spanish natives. So my level just soared from that point onwards.
Roughly how long would you say it takes to actually fully learn a language, Nadia? I mean, are we talking weeks, months, years?
I think if you're living out in the country 1 to 2 years, obviously it's really good to start from a really solid foundation before you go. So an app like Rosetta Stone is really fantastic because it really focuses on speaking. It's an award-winning app and method. And there's lots of features like the phrase book with key phrases you can learn. And there's downloadable lessons, so you don't even have to be connected online when you're using it. It's been praised for its excellent user interface. And I think really having a strong self-study course such as Rosetta Stone is really great, because then you can really go out confident. You don't just want to meet with the natives and feel shy. You really want to go with already a high level of speaking, and that really helps. At the United Nations, I did a little bit of French, but mainly Spanish, because I'd lived in Spain for 8 years. So that was my main focus, Spanish. And I really love the Spanish culture. It's so vibrant and it's so colorful, and it's really a fantastic culture to be part of.
So can you explain here, Nadia, to our listeners here about some of the best ways to learn a new language here, and what are they?
Yes, I think really being immersed in the language and the culture. So when I went out to live in Spain for 8 years, all my best friends at university were Spanish and they were natives and they were always speaking to me in Spanish. And I think also listening to the radio, I always had the radio on in the background. I think for me, that was the breakthrough, just having the language flowing over me all the time, really being immersed in it. And also watching the television in Spanish and just conversing all the time with natives. That's what really put me on a great road to success in languages. According to research from Rosetta Stone, 63% believe that global leaders should be able to speak several languages. And I think it's great that learning a language is also a sign of respect towards the people that you're talking to. I noticed that when I was in Spain and I was talking to native Spanish speakers, when you show that you've really made an effort to try and talk to them in their native language, they really respect that. And they're very grateful that you've made such an effort to communicate with them.